What is up? Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to be taking another look at a spectating video, and this time it's going to be for this guy Brooks. He is seemingly regarded as one of the best Star-Lords, if not the best Star-Lord. He does go 32-1 in this game, and he does some pretty good damage, and he plays very, very well. He definitely has this character's mechanics down. So if you're going to learn from anybody, definitely make this guy part of your list. So without further ado, let's get into the replay, and let's see what this guy does. I'll try and work through a couple tips that he kind of uses to make this character go a little bit crazy here. He's also pretty enabled by his team to do whatever he wants. His team is very good as well, so definitely keep that in mind. This isn't going to be what every game looks like necessarily. You might have to play a little bit differently, and usually I try and pick games to spectate that are a little bit more even, or the person plays well, but this is definitely a little bit more of a stomp, so keep that in mind too. As you'll notice throughout this whole video, he's going to use his rocket boots, his left shift, in bursts. You keep a little bit of the momentum, or most of the momentum, when you actually deactivate it too. So he's definitely using them in bursts, so he doesn't use a whole lot of fuel, but he still gets a good amount of distance. He also will bunny hop a couple times afterwards to get a little bit of extra distance. I don't really know what this flank is supposed to accomplish here. I think he's just limit testing the enemy team a little bit, but he ends up cocooning back here and is able to rejoin the fight. So going for some cheeky damage on the side and finishing off the penny there, dashing around, doing all this sort of stuff. This character is also going to be very, very hard to hit for healers unless you have something like a Mantis that can put a healing over time effect on you and then just kind of forget about you. He will be playing in the backline quite a bit this game, so your health pack knowledge is definitely going to come into play. So make sure that you know where a couple health packs are, especially if you are diving the backline. And on maps like this where it's a little bit more complicated, there's a lot of little side tunnels. And his team is able to take the first point pretty easily, and then he ends up getting onto the Loki, taking out the Loki, and trying to get a little bit more damage on the rocket. As you can see, he also plays with a little bit of a different crosshair. If you've left all your settings on default, this is a crosshair that you're not going to be familiar with, but I actually did switch my crosshair over to what he's using right now, and it does help with this character tremendously. It gives you a very, very specific point to aim, and it feels like you do a lot more damage just because you have that spread a little bit. Star-Lord's auto attacks do spread a little bit more the further away from your target that you are, so keep that in mind, but I will leave the details of how to calibrate your crosshair so it looks like this in the description below, as well as the beginner guide to Star-Lord that I made a little while back, which was one of my first spurt of YouTube videos. I'm not happy that I used the word spurt there, but you get the idea. So his team actually gets wiped here by the Doctor Strange, so he's just sitting on the side. He has ult. He doesn't really need to farm ult charge, doesn't need to risk anything. He can just sit here, wait for his team. He notices a portal back here and ends up going through it. Sees that he can get a little bit of a flank. His team is pushing up, sees the rocket there, spends his clip, and then ults. You will not have to reload right as you ult as well. So if you shoot a full clip, ult, you can get the full clip plus the first ult clip. He sees the Magneto staring at him with ult, and he just kind of uses his left shift and wiggles around, bobbing and weaving and all that good stuff, serpentining all around just to make sure he doesn't get one shot by Magneto. And now he has a pretty good solidified position behind the enemy. As you can see, he melees that little symbiote thing to make it carry him up there. There are a lot of those on this map too, so if you see any of these little kind of light gray glowing symbiote things, you can either shoot them, pretty much hit them with anything, and they will do a little bit of extra thing. You can see there was one on the right, and then so that one right there, and then there is one on the ground over here. So you can see he melees it, so he doesn't have to reload his gun, and it carries him up onto high ground, so he doesn't have to expend any left shift charge, and he can have that consistently gaining fuel, so he has it for the fight. His Doctor Strange commits ult here. Unfortunately, the Loki does use his left shift, so his team is not able to get a whole lot, but he does know that the Loki left shift is down, so he can get a bigger flank here. I probably would have gone for the Loki at this point. Someone used the little mushroom thing right there, and so now he's going towards the back line. Loki still probably shouldn't have left shift, but He gets kind of lucky here and finds the rocket res beacon, which is very, very nice. The enemy is -1 res, and the rocket backs up because his res beacon is destroyed. He kind of knows Star-Lord is in the vicinity, but Brooks is able to get a good flank here, draw the attention of the enemy team, and his team is able to push up onto the cart and get a little bit more distance because of it. The enemy, Doctor Strange, I believe, commits ult. He actually ends up picking the Loki here, though, and getting out of there pretty clean. Again, going for this health pack for like the 3rd or 4th time, I think. He's definitely playing around this health pack for sure. Sees the Magneto has self-shielded, so he opts to go for the rocket, pushes the rocket back, and his team is able to get a lot of distance because he takes out the rocket, and they were still down that Loki because this run back on this map is a little bit crazy on defense if you die here. So they're able to get the 2nd point without a whole lot of resistance. And again, this is an Eternity lobby as well, so he is playing against good players. He is playing against people that know what they're doing. So he's got his ult charge. Now he's just looking for a play, playing around this little giant mass in the center of the screen here, using the ability to slide off the edge of it, so that he can keep high ground, use as few resources as possible, and he opts to ult here. The Magneto ults to try and block some of it. He does not spray into it, uses some good restraint there. Unfortunately, it kind of negates his ult, so not ideal, but you don't always need to get hero ults, you just need to exert pressure. His ult forced Magneto ult, and his Doctor Strange is able to ult here too, and they're able to get some more damage on the enemy and actually take out the Magneto in the scuffle there. Sees Loki on the back line. Loki is someone that lacks a little bit of self-healing, and because he actually gets Loki low, someone finishes him off. I didn't actually see the kill feed there, but Loki gets finished off. If Loki doesn't have left shift, he's kind of an easy target to just get some damage into, unless another healer is healing him. They do finish off Doctor Strange here, and they had both tanks dead there for a second, so they're able to get a little bit more distance on this cart. Right here, they know they don't have far to go, so they're just pushing the enemy back into spawn. He's trying to make them feel a little bit more pressure and charge his ult for next round. His team is doing a really, really good job at making space for him as well, keeping the enemy focused on them while he's able to just sit on the side, sit on high ground, and get a lot of damage in that way. And just like that, they are up 3-0 in, again, an Eternity lobby, which is always a good place to be. So we're going to fast forward real quick and go on to defense. He still is playing Star-Lord on defense, and this is something that I don't see a lot too, especially when people are, I don't know, they get a nice strange portal here and they're just able to absolutely demolish the enemy as they come out of spawn, get a lot of headshots, and he's able to build 20% ult charge there. You'll see him play this little bridge thing right here too. This is one of the symbiote things that I was mentioning earlier, so if you attack this, it will create this little bridge over here. He's able to just stand on high ground, not float or anything like that, and he's getting walled off by the group, but he is definitely creating that pressure on the side of the enemy team. They know that they cannot forget about him. There you see he shoots the bridge, it comes out, and the enemy is suddenly now looking 2 places at once. The tanks get sick of it and they decide to push him, so he just rocket boots on out of there, and he can stay pretty safe. He's at 50% ult charge, so again, we're kind of playing for that ult because we know as soon as the enemy pushes, that is going to be our main way to get them out. He gets shredded here, but his health pack knowledge comes in. He goes for a little bit of damage as he's making his way over. Doesn't need to be healed. He's got the health pack sort of action, and his Magneto and Hela actually pop off here, and they're able to hold the point. And then he uses that space to put a little bit more pressure on the enemy as they run away. Almost kills the Strange here, and the Strange should actually just fall. There we go. And then the enemy team has a pretty big stagger, so they're waiting 8 seconds on the Strange when the rest of them are up, and his team has 3 ults. They have Strange ult, Hela ult, and Adam Warlock ult. So, very, very good. Yeah, this is definitely a good game too. I would definitely try out this character. He's going to feel a little bit weird at first, maybe, especially if you're just holding down your left shift and just flying around the map. He definitely starts to feel much more like Star-Lord when you can, you know, dash around a little bit more. His Strange commits ult here. They get a pick on the Hela, and he spends his clip, kills the Hela, and then ults immediately after to get even more damage, and they get a pretty easy almost team wipe here, I believe. Their hella ults, the enemy team hella ults. I'm not really sure. I probably wouldn't have done that there, but they are able to actually kind of stay on this point longer than they should because she ults a little bit late there. But they're not able to fully take the point because they're up like 2 full players, I think, at that point. So kind of a wasted ult, but... And she actually ends up getting killed by the Adam Warlock there. So that's a little bit awkward as well. So playing really well. Total, the enemy has a full minute to get to the point, but to capture this point down this long hallway in a minute is definitely kind of a daunting task. So just getting a little bit of cheeky damage here, using this bridge yet again that he's created for himself. And just kind of waiting for the enemy to show up. The Strange and Groot get dropped pretty low on their their initial push towards the point. So they cannot go in there with as much confidence, and he definitely has a good flank. His hella ult, his Cloak and Dagger ult, and there's not a whole lot he needs to do aside from support them from the sidelines and let them do majority of the damage. He sees Rocket on the side here, but opts to go for this Cloak and Dagger that is a little bit more in the enemy team, or in his team, so he has a little bit more follow-up damage. They get the kill on the Cloak and Dagger, and then Groot shortly thereafter follows. They're able to get the Elam on the Rocket and the Namor, and again they have a really big stagger on the enemy team with just 10 seconds left, so the enemy shouldn't be able to even touch the point here. They did use Strange Portal, so it might be up again. I'm pretty sure it is, so there we go. We turn around, Strange comes through, but he almost has ult as well, which is very, very good timing, so he pops ult immediately. His Doctor Strange ults, stuns the Cloak and Dagger goes down, Rocket goes down. Cloak and Dagger does get res, but it doesn't really matter. They're able to pretty much take out the enemy team without much. Bonks the Cloak and Dagger, doesn't actually get the kill on that. That would have been a nice way to end off the game, and they do win 3-0, which, as we all know, in ranked is a fantastic score to get. So I hope you guys learned something from that game. I definitely did, and that crosshair thing definitely does help. Once again, that's going to be in the description below if you want to calibrate your settings that way. Leave a comment on the video, like the video if you want to see more of this content, if you like what you see, and leave a comment what you want to see next too. I'm always looking for new ideas too, and other characters that you guys want me to find replays of. As you can see, he goes 32-1, does a very, very good job, does a good amount of damage, and as you really want, he's up LP. So we all want rank points, SR, whatever you want to call it. So leave a comment, like the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.